And for my second video of 3 for the day, there's a few things I want to talk about. A few. Speaking of my last video, all these interesting elections and France and Italy and all this crap, Germany, this year. And again, there's a massive populist movement to out these New World Order globalist people that are in power. Get the hell out. That's what the people are saying. But the polls show that Marine Le Pen is down in the polls a bit. The front runner is whatever his name, And then get ready for, shock. Le Pen wins it. The people have spoken. Again, unless it's rigged, then they put in whoever they want. They rigged the Egyptian elections. Lindsey Williams said that in advance. They're going to give it to the Muslim Brotherhood. And then lo and behold, after the ousting of their guy, not Muammar Gaddafi was his name. I can't think of his name. Egyptian president at the time. There's an Egyptian guy running, and there's a Muslim Brotherhood guy running. Oh my goodness. I wonder who's going to win, I said. We already know. Lindsey told us. They're going to give each of these countries they overthrow to the Muslim Brotherhood. Sure enough, 51-49. Muslim Brotherhood egged it out. Quick, look surprised. Anyways, so speaking of another EU country that may call it quits, possibly in a year from now maybe, Scottish. Support for Scottish independence rises to 50%, says poll. Again, do we trust the polls or do we not trust the polls? Some of them we can trust, some of them we can't trust. How do you know which ones you can trust, right? This is a very difficult time to be on planet Earth. Maybe it's 80%. They just want to knock it down to 50 because, we can't make it seem so obvious. Who knows? But even if it's 50%, trust me, after you see how the EU goes the rest of this year, and then in the next year, 2018, when they talk about possibly holding this referendum thing, I think there's going to be a resounding, let's get the hell out of this turd, formerly known as the European Union. Remember, was it Mario Draghi that was speaking the other day? Or, what else do you want us to do? What? Shit, what else can we do? I got an idea. Let's print more money, more debt, and lend it out to countries that can't pay it back, and then take all their resources and leave everybody destitute. Speaking of which, the second thing I want to talk about, Zero Hedge, it took $4 in new debt to create a single dollar in GDP, gross domestic product. Isn't that amazing? So anyways, a total of 50% of Scots would vote for independence if a new referendum took place in Scotland, a poll by Ipsos Mori found on Thursday. Sputnik News says earlier in the day, Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon said that the second half of 2018 would be a common sense time for holding a second Scottish independence referendum, as a UK/EU deal would be more clear by then. There'll be a clear deal. In common sense time frame, 2018, Economist Magazine, 1988, 30 years from now, in 2018, gold, paper dollars burning from the phoenix rising ashes from paper dollars. I think it will be pretty common sense, Mr. Sturgeon. And a deal will definitely be clear by then. The deal is going to be, there's nothing left of the EU. We're out. We're gone. Of the 1,029 respondents polled, isn't it amazing? Every freaking poll, 1,000 people were polled. I'm sorry, how many people live in America and are actually of voting age? How many millions? 1,000 people were polled today, and then remember the little phone app that went out where people could post a question in a form of a poll? In 200,000 or something people replied. 80-something% vote for Trump. 80-something% we're going to vote for Trump. Oh, wow. 1,000 people were polled. How about 200+ thousand? That's a little more accurate, wouldn't you think? Anyways. They said they were either very likely or certain to vote yes to independence in an immediate referendum, while 50% would vote no. And again, you have to ask yourself, because when that little vote app thing, and then there was another polling company, not the ones you normally hear about, did another poll, and it showed the same exact results as that phone app poll. About 80-something% Trump, 20 or whatever it was for Hillary. Or maybe it was 70-something, whatever. It was very close. But we found out he just, squeaked it out barely, right? Do you really think, literally, 50%, in this case Scotland, population, right down the middle, we want to leave, we don't want to leave, that half the population has experienced something, knows something, that the other 50% have not experienced and don't know about, which is why they don't feel the same way? Do you really think that's possible? And at the same time, before you even have to answer that, I'll stop you from answering. Only 1,000 people were polled, which is so small, it makes the question null and void. Don't pay attention to the polls. According to the poll conducted for STV News, 48% of respondents supported the idea that an independent Scotland remain a full member of the European Union, with 27% supporting full single market access but not full membership, similar to the Norway agreement, and 17% rejecting the idea of EU membership altogether. Since the last poll, conducted 6 months ago, support for independence has increased by 2 percentage points. Well, again, assuming the polls are even kind of accurate, let me let you in on some little piece of news in case you didn't know this. By the time they get to that period, 2018, they want to hold a referendum. If they do, enough will have happened this year in 2017 and into 2018 before they hold this referendum, should they, that, it went up 2% recently, it's going to be up massive percent. It's such a high percent, we haven't finished tallying. It's just know, everybody, it's so high we don't even need to tell you the number. We're absolutely leaving the EU. That's what the poll says, okay? Have a nice day. That's how I'd report that news that day. The majority of Scots, 62% against 38%, voted to stay in the European Union at the 2016 nationwide referendum. However, the UK overall voted to leave. The Scottish National Party has repeatedly called for a repeat independence referendum in the wake of the decision, citing fears of a hard Brexit strategy and lost access to the EU single market. Speaking of debt and everything else earlier, can you believe it took $4 in new debt, which again, we have to borrow the money into existence, right? You print Federal Reserve, we need $20 billion this month. Okay, Treasury, print $20 billion worth of Treasury bonds. Put them out on the market. Oh, nobody's buying them. That's okay. Federal Reserve backdoor, we'll buy them. Thank you. Here's your money, interest attached. And that interest is now going to pay the bonds we just took from you. I mean, isn't it nice if you're a Federal Reserve, we'll call you a Federal Reserveman. I kind of like that term. If you're the Federal Reserveman, I print the money, they print the bond, which is essentially a loan that they give to me. I print money out of thin air, give it to them, and then when they do their business and whatnot, collect taxes from these poor saps taxpayers, a good chunk of that money comes right back to us. Now, naturally, you would say, why are we left with the burden of paying the interest when you jackasses get to print all the money anyways? You printed the money to begin with, and you're collecting pieces of the money that you put out there in interest payments back to you. Now, that's kind of odd. That's not really fair, is it? Why are we not doing what Abraham Lincoln did? He printed the greenback, fought the war, Civil War. The North won, the South lost. They're both running out of money, as in gold and silver. He had a brilliant idea. We're going to create this dollar. It's as good as gold. It's called the greenback. They paid everybody. They treated it as if it was money. Everybody was happy. He won the war, said this is so good, we're going to use it from now on. Boom. Head blown off. Wrong. Central bank. Borrow money, have a nice day. Oh, what happened there? That's what we need today. Just print the money to pay all government expenses. I've said this so many times. If they just print the money, not borrowed it, printed it, and did what the Constitution says, assign a value, Congress, you sign the value of the money, what it's worth, and they could pay every single government bill they have, which would also mean local taxes, state taxes, federal taxes are gone. Property tax you own your home? No, you don't. You're making a payment that you don't realize the rest of your life you're being taxed. And if you don't pay that home tax, also known as property tax, they'll come foreclose on your house for the minimal amount. You may owe $6,000 or $7,000, $8,000 in taxes, back taxes, and if you don't pay it, they'll foreclose on it, sell it at auction, get themselves a little 10K, and have a nice day. You don't own anything. If you don't own the house you live on free and clear, and I don't mean mortgage, I'm talking mortgage paid off and taxes, no taxes, you have no private property rights. Have a nice day. This has to go away. That's the solution. Except it's not going to happen. It will not happen. The next solution will be similar to this solution, and it will be backed by gold this time. But you are still paying taxes, and the government's still going to have to borrow money into existence because that's what they do, because that's what the central bankers mandate they do. It's their system. They created it, and it's very beneficial for them and their club members, not for you and anyone else. So Bill Gross's letter discussing the credit deluge hitting the U.S. came out at a convenient time, just as the Federal Reserve released its latest flow of funds report, which while most track to show the change in average household net worth, which is almost entirely a function of the stock market, we find it far more valuable for its nuanced information on the breakdown of U.S. debt. And while it showed that in the fourth quarter, the net worth of U.S. residents, mostly the wealthy ones at the bulk of the financial assets, is held by a small fraction of the total population. Quick look surprised. And that rose by $2 trillion to $92 trillion, mostly as a result of a $1.5 increase in financial assets. Is that what this is? We get more interest in the aggregate picture, he says. It wasn't pretty. As a reminder, according to the latest BEA revision. Boy, does JSNP4 love revisions, because that's all I keep seeing. Fake news, fake numbers, fake government crap. We did decent, okay. Good jobless numbers. Oh, revised down. GDP, we were shooting for 2.3, but it came in at 1.8. And that even got revised down and got double revised down. Remember that song, Double Vision? Ooh, double revision. That's JSNP4's version, because it happens so damn often. Double revision. And it's never revised up. Oh, we were hoping for 2.3. We printed 1.8. And then we checked our numbers again, checked our list, and crossed it twice. Gonna find out who's naughty and nice. And we found out we were real nice because we revised it upwards to 2.5. We missed some things. Oh, market should rally. Oh, wait a minute. They already rallied on the bad news. Well, they're really going to rally today. As a reminder, according to BEA revision, nominal 2016 GDP was $18.86 trillion, an increase of $632 billion from 2015. The question is, how much credit had to be created to generate this growth? Well, according to the Z.1, total credit rose to a new record high, $66.1 trillion. That was an increase of $2.511 trillion in the past year, which means that in 2016, it cost $4 in new debt to generate just $1 in new economic growth. Somebody tell me. Please tell me why. Does it take $4 to make $1? Could you imagine? Listen, everybody, I got an announcement to make. I'm starting a new company. We've already started. It's been quiet. We got breaking news. We have incredible technology coming out. We're going to go out. We're going to go public here shortly. Stock value is going to be massive. You want in on our company? Oh, sounds good, sir. Can I Can I see your financials? You know, you got to produce all that stuff, especially if you're going public. Kind of like Snapchat. They're not even profitable. And how did that work out for everybody? It's over $20-something. They thought it'd be 18. Then it crashed. And then it crashed again. Speaking of which, just Snap stock price. Just curious, did it rebound yet, or what we got going on? Ended the day down 0.5% to was it down to 20 something? It was up to 23. Now, of course, back down to 22. It's all over the freaking place. 5-day lowest was $20.80. Anyways, but it ran up to almost $29. That was fantastic. Whatever. Let this sink in. I'm coming out. It's costing us currently. We have to borrow. Okay, not costing us. We have to borrow $4 for every dollar in profit we make. So we're looking at some things. We're looking to make about next year or this year, $100 million this year. We think we can do it. But it's going to cost us $400 million. We got to borrow $400 million, but we're going to make $100 million. At what point would you say you're going public? You should go be filing Chapter 11, and if you can't do that, Chapter 7, you're done. What are we talking about? You're going public, right? That's the kind of feedback you would get. Then again, in this crazy world, they'd pump that stock right out there like a Snapchat and just let her eat. Done. Let her eat, son. This does not make sense. If you have to borrow, and again, debt, $4 in debt has to be created, new debt for each dollar in GDP growth. If it was $2 of debt to GDP growth, and speaking of $2, I'll give you a little movie clip here. I want to see if you know what it is, but hold on. $2. How would you feel if it was $2 instead of $4 to earn $1 in GDP? You would say it's still a mathematical certainty that this is going to end in collapse. You can't borrow $2 in debt. You have to create $2 in debt to earn $1. This is a business model that's worse than terrible. It's going to fail, absolutely. And that's $2 to 1. This is 4 to 1. So speaking of $2, here's the movie line. I want to just write in the comments, do you know what this is? Hint, I believe this was an 80s movie. $2. I want my $2. I'll give you another hint in case you're struggling. Some kids on bicycles asking somebody for that $2. Weren't the 80s great? I mean, I really like the 80s. Anyways, this is just unbelievable. I'm just looking at some of these charts. I don't even have to get into it. It says more importantly, on an average ratio basis, the U.S. economy is now at a level of 350% total credit to GDP, a level which has been relatively flat since it peaked at 380% just before the crash. One way to read this chart, perhaps, is that the carrying debt capacity of the U.S. economy is roughly 380%, at which point something unexpected happens. At the current rate of surging credit relative to slowing GDP, and especially if Trump's fiscal plans call for trillions in new debt, the economy should get there 380% once again and very soon. Everything I just said speaks for itself. I don't even have words anymore. I'm not for this. This is caused, like, you know, this will give you a stomach ulcer. $4 in debt for every dollar GDP. Are you kidding me? USA, USA, USA. Whoa, USA. Y'all are. We were going to emigrate over there. Not anymore. We're out. See ya. We're leaving. As in emigration. Yeah. Take care.